The left hash gets it up. No good. He missed it wide right. Down, and it is blocked. That kick is blocked. So we have had two 51-yard field goal attempts. Neither of them have been good. Is down, kick is up, and that one would have been really hard to miss. 3-0 Houston. And the Broncos defense able to man a goal line stand. Here we go, gun set for Nix now, getting everybody set at the line. Franklin gonna motion right to left. Nix takes the snap, play fake to Dobbins. Nix able to get it off before he gets hit, intercepted. Caleb Bullock, a 41-yard, oh, I've just done something. Fairbairn on, 41-yarder is up, and it is good. So Houston now, the 6-0 lead. Nix dropping back. Nix gonna air this one out for Sutton. Touchdown, Denver! Cortland Sutton down that same sideline that Nix just overthrew Evan Ingram. Tie game for the Broncos. So the game trips to the left side once again with a tight end, two wide receivers. Nix taking the snap, short drop, stands in the pocket now. Now he's going to float one right side. He's got R.J. Harvey. Touchdown, Denver. R.J. Harvey going out on a wheel route will put the Broncos within 2. 0 for 2. Nix coming out under center. Pat Bryant goes in motion. Bo fakes the handoff, pumps to the right side. Now throwing back in the end zone. Troy Franklin will make the catch, and we got a tie ball game with 12:28 to go in the fourth quarter. So here we go. 34 yards from the left hash for Will Lutz. Snap is down. Kick is up. It is good. And the Broncos own the fourth quarter, and they will escape Houston. Ooh, hang on. We got a flag down. Flag does not apply to the Broncos, and they will escape Houston with an ugly 18-15 victory to keep pace with New England and Indianapolis. And as it stands, the Broncos are now tied for first seed in the AFC. The Denver Broncos have tied themselves up with the Indianapolis Colts, who lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New England Patriots, who keep winning atop the AFC. Welcome back to Crushing It, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Miles Smith, and every week, the Denver Broncos just got to take us on a roller coaster, man. A roller coaster of emotions. They played an awful football game, and I don't know how many times I've said this. They played an awful, just egregious 3.5 quarters, but when it matters most, you better believe that the Denver Broncos are going to be there to cover up, to come out on top. And I'll tell you what, it's a weekend of upsets. The Broncos came into this game as 1.5-point dogs. The Panthers won on the road in Green Bay, and the Vikings won by 3 in Detroit, excuse me. So it feels fitting that the Denver Broncos, on a weekend where they go into Houston without Pat Surtain, as road underdogs, come out on top on a last-second Will Lutz field goal. We're going to get into my thoughts and feelings, and maybe some of chat's feelings in just a second, as I am recording this live, and that is all coming up next on Crushing It.
Pocket 1, the snap comes to Nix. Backside pressure from Hunter. Floats it down the sideline. Looking for the pay dirt. It's Cortland Sutton. It's a touchdown.
It's done.
Nix looking with time. Floats it alone on the sideline. Harvey will walk in for a Denver touchdown. Broncos. And the kick is good. And the fourth quarter magic remains for Denver. 18-15.
As I said in the intro, it was just a god-awful 3.5 quarters of football. Bo Nix looked like Bo Picks today, and he had multiple turnover-worthy plays that should have been intercepted. I think of a throw to Pat Bryant over the middle of the field where Nix was rolling forward and he just undershoots an open Bryant. See, we had an opposite issue with Bo Nix. There was maybe one overthrow that I can really point to, but then there was a few massive underthrows. He underthrew Sutton early in the game, and that's what got him his interception. And there were just multiple other plays where Nick should have had an interception. The Broncos should not have won this game. They should not have won this game. They shouldn't have even covered the spread in this game. And as I mentioned, Broncos went into this as underdogs, and yet they find a goddamn way to win. They do it every week. Let's get into some of these stats and analysis here now for the Denver Broncos. And as I said, it's going to get ugly. I am going to lay into these guys just a little bit. Bo Nix, 18 to 37, 173. He does have the 2 touchdowns on his ledger. That does get him off a little bit. That gets him out of the doghouse a little bit for me. But it was just an ugly game. But again, in the fourth quarter when it mattered, Bo Nix came out and showed out. And this time he used his legs as he added an additional 3 carries for 36 yards, including the final 10-yard carry or 9-yard carry that got the Broncos even closer into field goal range. It was a weird game. And then, of course, the aforementioned interception. He only has the 1 on the stat sheet, but man, he could have had maybe 3 or 4. Just a bad game by the Broncos offense on that front. But, of course, fourth quarter, it matters. They make it happen. Rushing-wise, J.K. Dobbins, 15 to 61. He's averaging 4.1 a pop. Not the prettiest game. He had a couple of nice carries earlier in the game, and even into the third quarter, he was still finding absolute seams to just dart through. And that's why you sign J.K. Dobbins, because he can spot those and cut back. And a few of those plays were on those kind of plays where Dobbins has nothing on the initial hole. He's just able to spot a different lane and take it. So good, decent running from Dobbins. They were kind of piling on to him there at the end. RJ Harvey, only 5 rushing yards. He only gets 2 carries on the game, but he made more of an impact, and I'll tell you about it here in a few minutes. Adam Prentice, 1 for 2. He had a 3rd down conversion on 3rd and 1, so always nice to see the fullback getting some carries. You love to see it. In the receiving game, your leading receiver is RJ Harvey, 5 for 51 with the what would end up being the game-tying touchdown on the 2-point conversion, which was caught by Franklin. Cortland Sutton goes 1 catch for 30 yards, and Sutton was almost a reason the Broncos lost this game. 2 crucial drops on a drive where they could have gotten into field goal range earlier in the game, and just unable to do anything with either ball that got thrown his way. Granted, one of them was kind of a rough ball. He had to turn around weird for it, but that's essentially a back shoulder throw that Sutton makes 99 times out of 100. 2 straight drops is essentially unheard of with Cortland Sutton. Absolutely ridiculous. But he does have the 30-yard touchdown catch and is a reason why the Broncos have won this game. So, Troy Franklin, only 4 of 27, and that was something that angered me a little bit. Not angered, obviously, but that irked me a little bit. If there was one thing that I wanted to see out of the Denver Broncos receiver corps today, especially the young guys, it was consistency. And, Franklin's coming off of this, 6 for 89 game where he's got the 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys. I said in the Cowboys postgame show that I wanted him to follow that up with another decent performance. It didn't have to be 2 touchdowns for 90 yards like it was, but I wanted to see him at least collect maybe 50. And Nix gave him his opportunities. Of course, one of them was one of those near interceptions on a jump ball in the end zone. Franklin just was not in position for it. That one kind of is what it is. That one's more on Bo than anything. It is what it is. Troutman with 25 yards on 2 catches. He had a big conversion at some point in the game. Just wound up wide open over the middle. Texans weren't covering him on an all-out blitz where the Broncos were spread out, empty set. Great. If you can get 25 yards out of him, it is what it is. Pat Bryant, 2 for 20. Michael Bandy had a 16-yard catch over in the flat on the left side during one of the Broncos scoring drives. Engram had a target, no catch, and then Dobbins had a catch for -2. Not a good week for this Broncos offense. Oh, they only put up 271 total yards of offense. They had exactly 100 rushing yards, and Nick's was 36 of them, 171 passing yards. They go 6 for 15 on third down, which, honest to God, isn't that terrible. You're shooting about 40% on that. You'd like to see them be a little more efficient. I know a lot of those drives could have been extended a little more, and the Broncos probably get into field goal range on one or two of their other drives if they simply don't, or if they simply convert. They run 61 total plays. They only held on to the ball for 25 minutes. So really, it's kind of amazing that they managed to do what they did. And they lost the turnover battle, and we'll get into some of why they lost the turnover battle. It's an ugly game. Ugly, ugly game. And we'll touch on the special teams in a minute, because I am about to go scorched earth on these guys. Really, Bo Nix does throw the pick, obviously, like I've said, so the offense only with the one turnover. Defense almost forced two different ones, and they would have been by Talanoa Hufanga. Just unable to do a lot, but when it mattered most, the Broncos offense woke up, they took a shot at Coke or something, and were able to get things moving. Let's talk about the defense, because my God, this Broncos defense was outstanding. Davis Mills had to come in for an injured CJ Stroud. He went down with an interception on a play where Chris Abrams drained. It was a clean hit. Drain leads with the shoulder into Stroud's chest, and the back of Stroud's head just ends up hitting the turf. It's an unfortunate play that you hate to see. I hope Stroud's okay. He was 6 for 10 for 79 before he exited the game. Davis Mills came in and did a serviceable enough job as a backup. 17 of 30, 137. Didn't really throw the game away. Didn't do anything too spectacular. It's fine. And that's really all you can ask for from your backup. Rushing-wise, Broncos defense able to hold strong. Nick Chubb got 11 carries for 33 yards. Marks, number 27, I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name, 10 of 27. Stroud had 12 rushing yards before he exited the game, and Davis Mills only goes 2 of 7. He had a 6-yard scramble somewhere in there. Receiving-wise, Texans were carving you up a little bit, Texans were kind of carving you up a little bit, but you were still able to contain without Pat Surtain against what is a decent receiver core. You got Dalton Schultz at tight end, who was kind of going off over the middle. Singleton, the Broncos middle linebackers did not have an answer in coverage. Greenlaw wasn't great, admittedly. I didn't see a whole lot of plays where he was really the guy in coverage doing anything. Strnad wasn't great. Singleton wasn't great. Obviously, we all know that coverage is the fault in Singleton's game. So Schultz had a bit of a field day, 6 for 77. Nico goes 7 of 75, so it's essentially a George Pickens stat line. And CeeDee Lamb there from the Texans receiver. Xavier Hutchinson, only 3 catches, 30 yards. Christian Kirk, 4 for 26. Jaden Higgins with a 4-yard catch. Dara Goombawale with a 2-yard catch, where he got planted into the field on that play. And then Harrison Bryant also with a 2-yard catch. And this game really was a battle of defenses. Who could get more stops? And in this case, it was the Broncos. But the Texans defense, of course, still played really well, forced the interception, held the Broncos to under 300 yards, held them to that 6 of 15 mark on third down. But here's where the Broncos defense was better. They only give up 15 third downs, but they hold the Texans to 3 of 17 on third down. Now, they do get a fourth down conversion at some point in the game. Wasn't anything that went too ballistic. Broncos able to make plays when it matters. 4 sacks by the Broncos, all in the first half, and they forced 8 punts just like the Texans did to them. No turnovers forced, but they had a couple of near plays. Talanoa Hufanga had a really, really near interception. And those are plays that you got to make in the future, but the Broncos need to basically burn the offensive film from this game and move on. They've got a quick turnaround on Thursday night against the Raiders. They've got to be ready for that, man. You've got to be ready for a division game. I think if there was a game that people thought the Broncos could lose in this 3-game stretch, it is probably this one that seemed like the most losable. Of course, you've got KC looming. So I think winning this game against Houston is a huge stepping stone for the Broncos. Yes, I get that it was ugly. It's a close game. You've been playing in those all damn year. But it's good to have that morale boost going into an early week game on Thursday night. So great by the Broncos to be able to pull that out. Yeah, of course, they got them. They can never make it easy. But the Broncos defense, I'm gonna give them their flowers a little more. They shut the Texans out in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter. They held them to 3 second half points when the Texans had a number of field goals. Texans kicked 5 total field goals, almost won. Broncos able to pull it out with a couple of Bo Nix touchdown passes, and that is massive credit to the defense. There was a goal line stand earlier in the game, and I'm failing to get to the point. The Broncos defense was goddamn good. That is the point. And now that is going to bring me to my final bit of analysis. The special teams, I don't know if it's a Darren Rizzi problem, but the special teams was bad today. Outside of Jeremy Crawshaw, Jeremy Crawshaw, good. We like Jeremy Crawshaw. The rest of the Broncos special teams, not good. Let's 1 for 2 on kicks. The block isn't really his fault. I really do think that there was some timing issue on that first kick in the first quarter. It looked like Crawshaw had a problem getting the ball down early. Okay, so maybe Crawshaw wasn't all good. When it came to Crawshaw's leg, it was good. But you got a blocked field goal that most certainly could have been the difference in this game. That really was the difference until the final seconds. And then And then the muffed kick by Michael Bandy. That's a kick that, someone on the sideline or someone needs to be screaming at Bandy not to field that, because it bounces basically off his helmet, off his foot, right into the waiting arms of a Houston Texan. You cannot do that. And so my takeaway from the special teams is that Marvin Mims cannot get back fast enough. That is my takeaway from the special teams. Offensive takeaway, you've gotta keep hammering the ball when it's working. The pass game was not working early on today. Obviously, the run game was. The Broncos were running well in the first half. J.K. Dobbins only had 4 first half carries, man. He really he had 4 first half carries. My other offensive takeaway is that RJ Harvey is becoming a receiving weapon out of the backfield, man. I don't know if he's going to be a good enough runner or a consistent enough between the tackles runner to really become your, Christian McCaffrey, but I think RJ Harvey definitely has the receiving upside to become that Joker player that Sean Payton has wanted. Also, man, Evan Ingram is not doing so hot for the Broncos, man. And Grant, he only had the 1 target, and it was a bad throw by Nix, obviously, but Evan Ingram just so far has not worked out. He hasn't been that Bo Nix easy button that you've been looking for. And that is really it. Otherwise, burn the film. Take what worked, burn the film, move on. Defensive takeaways, they're elite. The Broncos defense is the best defense in the National Football League. And that is my takeaway from really the game, is that the Broncos defense is the best in the National Football League. Coming up next on Crushing It, I'm going to hand out just a couple of Game Orange sodas because, man, this is the kind of game where you pour, I don't know, non-caffeinated root beer on a guy, where you hand him an uncaffeinated root beer instead of an orange soda. But there still are a couple of positives that I want to give out flowers for, and that will be coming up next on Crushing It. So, despite the ugly game, I do think that there are some notable players that are deserving of Game Orange sodas, and we are going to kick this off with one that might shock a couple of people, and, I'm going to have some people saying that I am absolutely deriding this guy here, but for that fourth quarter alone, I got to give it to him. Bo Nix. Bo Nix is getting a Game Orange soda. It's week after week in the fourth quarter that Nix can just play such a shitty game for 3 quarters and then turn it around and just go absolutely ballistic in the fourth quarter. And the game-winning drive was mostly with his legs tonight. I believe all 36 of those rushing yards on his behalf were during that game-winning drive. He had a designed run that rolled him out to the left side to get Will Lutz just that much closer into field goal range. He had a big run right before that as well, where just the line opened up. Nix was able to see it, and he was just able to plow forward. Of course, the 2 touchdown passes that not only kept the Broncos in the game, but that tied the game. The pass on the 2-point conversion that Troy Franklin caught, I got to give him his flowers there. Give him a little honorable mention on that one, despite only going 4 for 27. Bo Nix is getting that first orange soda. My second orange soda, it's just going to the Broncos defense as a whole. You hold the team to 5 field goals. You hoist a goal line stand. in which you're able to stop the Texans on 4 straight plays. They get a penalty and they end up kicking a field goal. Of course, now you maybe would have liked it if a Texan didn't false start, because the Broncos did hold the Texans out of the end zone. It would have been 3 less points, but of course the swing there in field position could have really hurt the Broncos. The Broncos defense was outstanding, man. Despite all their faults, without Pat Surtain, they come out and they hold CJ Stroud, Davis Mills for the most part, and this Texans offense to only 15 points, even if they were fighting a bad field position battle all day long. 4 sacks on the day, a couple of near turnovers. Broncos defense as a whole is getting themselves some orange sodas. Our third one, we're going to go back to the offense on this one, and it is going to be RJ Harvey getting himself one. He had the game-tying, what would ultimately become the game-tying touchdown, ran an outstanding route, and he beat his man with pretty much pure explosive speed, able to turn around and grab that ball. The moment is not too big for RJ Harvey, and I really think RJ Harvey is carving himself a role in this Broncos offense, despite the fact that, you know, J.K. Dobbins is the premier back, and I'm going to give him a little bit of an honorable shout. He can share a sip of orange soda with R.J. Harvey, but it is R.J. Harvey's orange soda. He is really coming into his own, and I'd be interested to see his total receiving stats on the season. Maybe Editing Miles should put the stats of R.J. Harvey's total receiving numbers right here on the screen. We'll see what I end up doing. But RJ Harvey is going to get that game ball. Our fourth one, we're going to go 4. We'll go 5 to we'll go 6 total, because I have a special one that I want to give out to somebody. But our fourth one is going to go to Talanoa Hufanga. He was all over the place. He was thumping motherfuckers. He was everywhere. He had 2 near interceptions that I just want to see Hufanga finish off an interception, man. He had a pick 6 a couple of weeks ago in another Broncos comeback game. I think it was against the Giants, that he just could not get a grip of. He's going to get one. Hufanga is going to get one. He plays with such good instincts. And as it stands, I mean, I really think that besides J.K. Dobbins, Talanoa Hufanga is the Broncos' best free agent signing so far. He was a little bit of a gamble with his injury history, but goddamn, they are getting all-pro Talanoa Hufanga. He gets my 4th game ball, and my 5th one's going to go to Zach Allen. Guy had a sack. Guy was making play after play on that defensive line. I know he had another TFL on a running play that helped the Broncos keep the Texans out of the end zone. He had a pass deflection on what could have been a 3rd down conversion during one of the Texans' final drives. Like, Zach Allen is that motherfucker, and he is earning every cent of that contract extension that the Denver Broncos gave him. That is another, you know, I'd say one of the more underrated free agent signings of the Broncos in not just the last couple of years, but league-wide. Nobody has made so much of an impact, while I feel like being so, like, overlooked by the media, than Zach Allen. Zach Allen has been an outstanding free agent find for the Denver Broncos, and there is a reason why he is one of their cornerstone defensive linemen. And now my 6th and final game ball, and I say it at the end of every stream, you know, I've got the best viewer base in the National Football League. I don't care if we're a small bunch. I absolutely have the best viewer base in the National Football League, and my final game, orange soda, it's going to you. It's going to you watching this, especially if you made it this far in the post-game video or in the stream while I'm recording this live. Like, this one goes out to you. You guys are awesome. You guys always stick with me through all the games. You guys are absolutely amazing. Last I looked, and you know, the number is under me and over here, we're at 137 subs. I want to hit 200 by the end of the year. 200 is kind of a hard number to hit, honestly. I mean, even 137 is hard to hit, you know, like I do work for this stuff, and I do it for the love of the game. So that's going to kind of bring us into the closing remarks here. Broncos get an ugly win. I think they just need to burn this on a quick turnaround against the Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday night. That one's probably going to be a tougher game than I think people think. It's a division game, obviously, so anything can happen. It's a Thursday night game. Thursday night's been kind of chaotic all year. It's going to be an interesting game. It really should be, and of course, I'm going to be there to call it, as always, on that Thursday night. So, thank you everybody for watching. Go enjoy that orange soda that I gave out to you guys, the viewers. You guys are absolutely awesome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you do like video games, I've got the link to my gaming channel in the description below, both on the stream and it will be in the description of this video. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Denver Broncos 18-15 win. And this is Miles signing off. Thanks for watching.